Hello, YouTube community. It is 4 in the morning where I am, and it is the release night for Sid Meier's Beyond Earth. Now, I gotta say, I'm a tidbit frustrated because I've spent the last 3 hours recording footage, and after going through the whole process, I found out that my video and audio weren't synced for whatever reason, so now I gotta kind of go back and re-record a good chunk of crap, but on a good note, looking at it positively, like the good little doobie I try to be, I now have a lot more experience with the game than when I did in the initial recording, so we're going to be doing a guide series. Just kinda, since the game just came out, I want to get it done, have people able to help out. These are going to be videos anywhere between 10 and 30 minutes long, and I'm just going to kind of have them specialized on certain areas of the game. I'm going to break the game down to its most basic features as much as I can. So some people, you'll look at what I'm saying and be like, well, that's fucking stupid, why do you need to point that out? And some others, being new to the game, will probably really appreciate, what I have to say, because I've played through almost the whole game before I recorded it, and then I recorded some stuff, so I've got a pretty decent early grasp on how this game runs. So, I'm going to record, and hopefully the game will go a lot smoother this time around. That would be the optimal situation. So we're going to come into the main menu here. It's set up just like Civ 5, single player, multiplayer, mods, options, la 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 la. We're going to go to single player, and I never hit play now. We're going to hit setup game. First thing you got to do is select this basic stuff. You have your difficulty levels, which are pretty similar to how Civ 5 had it set up. You have Sputnik, which is the easiest difficulty. Mercury is normal. And then, obviously, you go up from there. Moderate, hard, very hard, and you're crazy. We're just going to stick with Mercury. And we're going to do standard and standard for the sake of this video. Might actually do quick. But no, I think I'll do standard just for the hell of it. Actually, no, I'll do quick, because then it doesn't take as long, and it's kind of the same information, just a little more compact. So we're going to accept that. Now on this screen, obviously, you have a lot of things to choose, but you can also go into the advanced setup screen to set up all your stuff. But I'll show you that after. So the first thing you do, and this first video is going to be focused on more what civs you should play, or technically what sponsors you should use and what you should use for what you intend to do. So obviously there's a random button, but the first thing you choose is your sponsor, and your sponsor is kinda like your Civ in Civ 5. You have the American Republic Corporation, or something along those lines. Covert operations are 25% faster and cause 25% more intrigue. Covert operations are essentially spies from Civ 5. So you get them with computing, and if that's the type of thing you want to do, then, they can't have nasty benefits. So, covert operations can lead to nuclear strikes and stuff of a sort, so those are good for that. The Pan-Asian Cooperative is obviously the Asian continent, not continent, country. No, continent, I was right. It's 4 in the morning, I wasn't functioning normal to begin with. You get 10% production towards wonders and 25% worker speed, so this is a very good, if you're trying to get some wonders. I haven't really experimented with wonders yet in the games I've played, but if you're going for a heavy culture, like in Civ, heavy culture, heavy production, big city type thing, this'll do. Frankel Iberia, gain a free tech for every 10 virtues developed. This is not a bad one, because in this game, unlike Civ 5, culture and science go hand in hand in a lot of ways. So if you like, if you keep those two together, this is not a bad one to get it all, to get a little better along when it comes to people and tech trees and whatnot. So if you're trying to get far in science, this is not a bad choice at all. I don't know if there is a science victory in this game as there was for Civ 5. I'm pretty sure there's not. But as with any of these types of games, technology is a big factor in how well you do. Slavic Federation, orbital units stay in orbit 20% longer, and the first one you launch grants a free tech. This one, you do get a lot of orbital crap throughout the game, and most of them don't last too long, so this is a nice boost, and that initial free tech can really speed you up in the early game. So if you play through and you find that you're having problems with the early game, I would highly recommend trying this Federation. Otherwise, see what else there is. Next one's Polystralia, +2 trade routes available for the capital. Now, obviously, as with the other Civ games, trade routes are huge, huge, huge. So, you do want to abuse them as much as you can, but sometimes there's a lot of times in the beginning of the game where you're going to be too busy doing other stuff, so it's nice, not mandatory, but if you really want to focus and use trade routes to the best of their abilities, I would definitely recommend Paul Australia. We have the Cavithan Protectorate. Cities and outposts acquire new tiles twice as fast. This one, that's a pretty significant boost, especially since outposts can't actually become cities until they get their 6 tiles around them that are directly surrounding them. So this is great if you're really going to try to worm your way through the map and spread as fast as possible. This might be affected by culture. I haven't actually checked yet whether culture and your border growth go hand in hand. I can only assume they do because that's been the pattern for other Civ games, but can't say for sure. Don't quote me on that. If you do, I have no sympathy. Brasilia was actually the first one I played. Units have 10% strength in melee combat. That's not a bad boost. It definitely helps in the early game with aliens. And then the last one is the African Union, +10% food in growing cities when healthy. That does help your growth. Again, it's based on when you're healthy, which health in this game is like happiness. So that's basically the sponsors in a quick detail. So I'm going to play as, I think I'm going to go for the Franco-Iberia because the culture science link in this game is pretty good, so I'm going to try them out. Next, you choose your colonists. These are pretty basic. It's just when you settle a city, your cities get some type of bonus, and it's either science, food, which obviously make your cities grow, energy, which in this energy and health in every city, which energy computes to coin, gold in Civ 5, and health converts to happiness. Engineers gives production in every city, and then artists gives culture and health in every city. Now, if you're new to Civ in general, just an idea, science obviously helps your technologies grow faster. Food helps your city's population grow, therefore your cities can do more and get more resources. Gold buys you buildings and units, and you need them to maintain your buildings and units. Production is how fast your cities can build shit, and culture affects how many virtues you get, and it may affect your border growth, like I said before. And then health is like your happiness in Civ 5. There's negative health, and then there's regular, and then there's health. And you need to try to stay positive because as you get lower and lower health scores into the negatives, you start to have very detrimental effects. So for my game, I'm torn a little bit because where outposts give you unhealthiness, I think I'm going to go with artists for this game because you do gain unhealthiness when you find an outpost, so that will help counterbalance that to some extent. After that, you choose your spacecraft. Your spacecraft simply gives you another little bonus. Continental Surveyor reveals the coasts on the map, so you know where all the coasts are, how close things are, la-di-da-di-da. Retrograde Thrusters, wider area for choosing where to land first city. So when you land your city in this game, you have a pretty much a 7 hexagon to choose from, so it's just a small area. This will allow you to choose a much larger area and then additional visibility around your starting area. So it makes it a little less necessary to scout, but not, it depends on what you want to do. Tectonic Scanner, no technology is needed to see petroleum, geothermal, and titanium resources, as is in the normal game. Could be useful, though I think most of these resources you need that technology to even use that particular resource, not necessarily, but it's not a bad one. Fusion Reactor, begin with 100 energy, which can be huge at times, and then Life Form Sensors reveal alien nests on the map. Now I'm going to probably go with Continental Surveyor because I like to know where all the coasts are and who's a threat and who's not immediately. And not the last thing you're going to pick, I don't think. is your cargo that you bring with you. Hydroponics, begin with an extra population in your city. Laboratory, begin with the pioneering technology. Begin with clinic building in your first city as raw materials. Weapons arsenal begins you with a soldier unit, and machinery begins you with a worker unit. Now, I would do pioneering technology, but you don't even need to build your first settlement too early on. So, I think this game, I'm going to go with the worker unit. That'll save me time having to build it. Now, obviously, if I hit start, my game's going to start, but now we're going to go into the advanced setup just to show this stuff off. It's very similar to Civ 5, setting up teams, setting up details. You can obviously click edit and edit your name and the name of your sponsors and whatnot. Planet options are the same as in Civ 5. You can choose what type of planet it is, how big it is, what the terrain's like, whether it's lush, fungal, desert, la-di-da-di-da. You can set the difficulty, the time, and a little more custom stuff, sea level, resources. You can turn on and off victories, and then obviously you can save promotions, save virtues, don't stagger starts, all this different stuff. We're not going to worry about too much of this right now, but that's what the advanced start is. They just affect different things like that. So we're going to go back. We're going to hit start. Obviously, we got to go through this part again. So just bear with me for a minute. Since I went to the advanced game, it already set up the planet. There is another part that comes up after the cargo choosing where you choose your planet. You can either choose a random planet or one of the ones listed. That's not a big deal. It's just kind of gives you an idea of what type of planet there is and how big it is. Normally I would go into the advanced setup for that anyway, because I either like to play on a Terran map where there's a couple continents, or a Pangea map, or I think in this game it's technically called something else. But the game loads nice and quick. So we're going to begin.
Select a suitable location for our people to make planetfall.
I'm not going to listen to the advisor too much because I already know most of it. So this red area gives us an idea where we can place our first city. We are on a coast, which is nice. We do have chitin right here. We got some fibers, some fruit. Nice, pretty good starting area right here. I could go down here or up here are my two main choices. That gives me easier access to that fruit. And those mines. And I can use this for food. But that is on a hill, and I'm assuming hills, I'm pretty sure hills still have the same defensive bonus they normally do. But if I put it over here, I won't get access to this right off. But it should expand that way fairly quickly. But at the same time, there's fiber here, there's floatstone here. So I think I'm just going to stick with this spot. Now, unlike in Civ 5, all the continents, not all the countries spawn at once. They're going to spawn around the map, and obviously, as you can see in our mini-map in the top right, we can already see where the coasts are. So, we know what's going on. We're not going to actually play in this video. Can't catch my thought there. I'm just going to leave like this, but I'm just going to go over the heads-up display real quickly. Like I said, this is a very basic video. In the top right, like I said, we have our mini-map, which will expand as we get going. Also in the top right, we have the options menu. Restart game on the first turn. Quick save, save, load, options, la-di-da-di-da. The help menu, which will pull up the Civilopedia of Beyond Earth, which has a whole shatload of information in it. Gives you the turn, it gives you your science, which, like I said earlier, science determines how fast you gain tech. Your energy, it gives you how much you have and how much you're gaining or losing per turn. And then you can hover over it to get an idea of your income. And you can click on it to get a more economic overview. Health gives you your overall health, tells you what's taking away from it and what's adding to it. and it'll also tell you what benefits or lack of benefits you are getting for not having certain things, or for having certain levels of healthiness and unhealthiness. Next to that is culture. Culture is pretty much the same as it's been in all the other games. It affects your border growth to some extent, I'm pretty sure. And also it affects these. These are your virtues. As you get culture, you kind of can either specialize or spread out when you get these virtues, but we're going to go over virtues more in detail later as we get into the game. So for now, just know that culture affects your virtues, which you need. The more cities you have, the harder it is to get virtues, and culture may or may not affect your border growth. Over here are certain special resources: xenomass, floatstone, and feraxite. There's no feraxite that I can see, but there is floatstone right there. So those resources will come into play later in the game. In the top left, we have, first thing under here is it shows our science. It's obviously here it says finished habitation, which is the very first tech you get. And whenever you're researching a tech, it'll give you the tech here, the things that tech lets you do once you complete it, and how long's left until you have completed it. Also in the top left are the 3 affinity pools. What these are is their supremacy, purity, and harmony. Supremacy is basically, I kind of just want to say, total domination in a sense. But it's a hard thing to explain. Purity is and harmony go kind of, they're opposites of each other. Purity is that you've landed on this planet and you're going to make it as much like Earth as possible. You're going to make it into your planet. Whereas harmony, you kind of try to adapt to the planet's surroundings. So rather than turn the planet to your aid, you turn to make yourself better for the planet instead. So as you go through the game, you'll get technologies and have to make decisions that will add to these points. These points affect a lot of different things, including which techs you can get at later points in the game, and they also affect what your units turn into as you progress. In the bottom left, we have, it'll highlight whatever unit is selected. Right now we have the worker selected, and then it gives a list of all the things we can do with that unit at this time. Obviously, this being a worker has a bunch of build actions. If we go up to here, on our Explorer, we have a different set of actions. They all do different things. They pretty much are self-explanatory. They tell you what they do if you hover over them. So, obviously, if you want a quick rundown, you have your attack, your move mode, which you can just right-click to move your guy if you want to. Do nothing for a turn. Alert, which just puts you, it makes them so you don't have to worry about them each turn. It puts them in kind of a sleeping state until something that's hostile comes nearby. Fortify just puts them in sleep mode permanently, but it does give them a defensive bonus. Automated exploring or automated whatever just has them go on their own path, and then obviously you can delete the units and get some energy back. And then finally in the bottom right over here, we're going to have notifications for the turn, like we need to select a new research, we need to select new production, Victories updated, any updates for the turn come up over here. And then this is just a whole slew of different windows to open up to kind of keep track of your game. You have the diplomacy window, which affects and shows stats on you and your allies / enemies. The virtues brings up this virtues menu again. The third one in is covert ops, which affects your agents and spies when you get to that point. Upgrade units affects when you start getting those affinity points we were talking about in the top left, how to upgrade them, what they upgrade to, and all that good shit. Quests and victories. Throughout the game you'll get quests, and this is the area where you track them, and then obviously victories, who's doing what, where, with what. And then finally the last one is just the orbital view, which affects satellites when you use them. There are a couple other menus here: technology, web, notification log, military overview, economic, and trade route overview. We'll get into those later in detail, but that's going to be it for this first video. I just wanted to go through a quick heads-up display of what the game looks like and what to do to set up your game and who you should play as. I was going to have some gameplay footage tonight, but whereas my first recording got messed up, I'm going to record it later today and hopefully have it up before the day's end. So please like and subscribe if you want to see more Beyond Earth. Leave comments with any tips that I left out that other people can benefit from. Try to make them constructive, not insulting, and then also with anything you would like to see in the future from this game. With that, I will see you when we continue this game.